Rúben Amorim had the opportunity to speak with the press, basically in the first press conference of the new season in Chicago, basically ahead of our first Premier League summer series game against West Ham in the preseason tour of the United States, which is, a game, a summer series that was part of the preseason plan for Manchester United, right? So, which is also good. But from basically the heart of Chicago, ahead of Manchester United's preseason opener against West Ham in New Jersey, Rúben Amorim, stepped in front of the media for the first time since May, and he didn't just give answers; he gave insights into mentality, into leadership, into the future of players like Bruno Fernandes, into Luke Shaw and Kobbie Mainoo, as well as other players like Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo. Cunha was also in that interview, so he spoke and all of that. So, but maybe most importantly, he gave us a clear sign of what the new Manchester United will look and feel like. So let's unpack everything. Let's do like we always do, the presser review and all of that, and talk about what Rúben Amorim said and how we interpret it and all of that. Now, the first question, in the first segment, there was a conversation back and forth between Cunha and the press, as well as Rúben Amorim and the press, and he was asked a question about Luke Shaw. That's in one of the first major segments. Was asked a question about Luke Shaw, and obviously he said, I think Luke Shaw is world class, and that's my feeling. When he touches the ball, the ability to play one against one. England had 2 finals and he's always there. This means something. He needs to be fit. He needs to train always within the limits, and he's doing that at the moment, and he's a great player, but he has competition. So it's not just basically flattery. It's not that it's not like Amorim is trying to flatter Luke Shaw. It's actually setting the tone. He says Shaw, when fit, is among the elite fullbacks in the world. Obviously, he's going to play as one of Rúben Amorim's centre backs, and Amorim reinforced exactly that by referencing his England recent major finals and Shaw's ever-present involvement. But the most important telling line here is that he needs to be fit, and that is what Rúben Amorim has said. He needs to be fit, and he needs to train always within the limit, and he has competition this season. And this is just basically Amorim striking the balance. Praise, yes, but comfort, not at all. I mean, it's a challenge to Shaw. He says you are elite, but this season you are not guaranteed anything. And this isn't just about fitness. It's about professionalism, intensity, accountability, and basically just him telling him what needs to be done to be able to achieve success at the club. So now, with regards to another aspect of the press conference, which is building the culture and the basically dealing with the best teams in the world. One of the most powerful moments of the press conference came when Amorim spoke about the human side of football. He said the best teams in the world, you feel the bond between players, and he's just basically saying that the bond between players is important. He said we need to remind ourselves how special it is to be Manchester United. And I really like the feeling, but to be in a group that is healthy. We're going to suffer, we have problems, but the feeling of bonding from everybody, staff, players, is really important. And I think it can help us to win games where we're not even performing well. He says he's actually not talking about tactics. He's talking about identity, and he's talking about culture. I mean, when he says to remind ourselves how special it is to be Manchester United, that's a very direct message to every player in the dressing room. Basically speaking and saying that Amorim understands the technical quality. That technical quality gets you only so far, but togetherness, culture, and that's what wins when quality isn't enough. This isn't just bluff; it's a roadmap. He wants a healthy dressing room of players who really will suffer together, win together, and feel honored to represent Manchester United. I mean, that mindset has been missing in recent years. Amorim wants it back. And that's pretty much what he's hinting at, right? Now, on the other side, there was conversations about players not in the squad like Sancho, like Anthony, like Tari Malacia, like Garnacho and Co. Rashford obviously is already gone, and all that. So he says he was asked about players currently not in the squad, and his answer was very measured but firm. He said some players have to find a new place, others want new teams. We are allowing them allowing them time to think, and this is what mature leadership is like. No drama, no pointing fingers, just clarity. But it was this part of that reality that sets the tone. He says, well, I think it's not the case, basically, with regards to the question about their value. And he says that value, whether their value could decrease and all of that, because there are different reasons for the players. Some players have to find new place to play more space in the team, to have more space in the team rather, and others clearly show they want a new challenge and want new teams. We're just allowing them time to think and to decide. If we reach a point where they have to join the team, they will join the team because they are our players. I know for a fact that these players, Omar Berrada and Omar Berrada and Jason Wilcox and the club have a number of these players. If they don't reach out, they will be Manchester United players, no doubt. Right? A number for these players. So basically talking about the prices, right? And all of that. He says, I understand players may be waiting, clubs may be waiting for the last minute, but they can have a surprise, and I'm ready, right? He says, I'm ready to receive the players, and they have more competition. If they want to play in the World Cup this year, you need to play. So I'm ready. I'm really happy with that because I have more options. If they have to fight each other to play for me, it's perfect. So this just actually means that what leadership looks like. No drama, no pointing fingers, just clarity. But it was part of a really, now there's a part in this conversation that really set the tone. And he says, if they don't reach, the club's valuation, right, that they will be Manchester United players. So no doubt about that. So he's drawing the line. United are not desperate sellers. That's what Rúben Amorim is trying to kind of indicate there. Omar Berrada and Jason Wilcox have set the valuations, and unless these valuations are met, these players will return and compete. And that's a very strong front, and a warning to clubs hoping to swoop in late with cut price deals and all that. So it's I think he's been diplomatic here, and for the players, Amorim has a word for them too. If you want to play in the World Cup this year, you need to play. So basically saying, find new clubs quickly so that you can be able to make it to join other teams. And if you're with regards to that, he says if you're sitting out and stalling your next move, you might be stalling your career too as well. That's what Amorim is saying, which is very simple and straightforward, right? Amorim is ready to reintegrate anyone, but on his terms, right? So it's pretty straightforward. There's videos making the rounds online where Sancho is shown, just flexing. He has not released any training videos or workouts or anything. He's just flexing, chilling with Burna Boy and co. But it is what it is. Others are really working hard. Preseason has started, but there's nothing showing that Sancho is actually working hard to be a footballer. But it is what it is. He seems to have accepted his fate, and in truth, he seems to be telling us that he's the worst player Manchester United has signed. But it is what it is. But with regards to Bruno Fernandes, Amorim kind of indicated that Bruno is kind of like the heart of the team, right? He says he gave his fascinating tactical insight because he was asked questions like, okay, with now that Man United have signed Cunha and Brian Mbumo, does that mean that Bruno goes back deep into the midfield? Amorim answered and said he can be deeper in midfield. He can be in deeper midfield role. We can change in game, but I think sometimes we miss Bruno when he's playing as a number 10. I think it's a good position for him. I really like when Bruno has the ball, and if you have the threat of Brian, Rasmus, Mateus in the space, if you have a player with the quality of Bruno without pressure on the ball, it gives us quality. So basically, Amorim was not being dogmatic. He just gave a fascinating tactical insight when he was addressing this Bruno's role and all that. And he says, he can be in deeper midfield, but sometimes we miss Bruno when he's playing as a number 10. So, which means he wants Bruno to be more like the orchestrator and controller of things happening in the team. He isn't just dogmatic. He will move pieces around, but he's clearly leaning towards using Bruno higher up the pitch, but also like in the final third and all of that, where he can hurt teams, but also as a deep line playmaker as well. But he said, I really like when Bruno has the ball, and if you have the threat of Brian, Rasmus, and Mateusz in the space, I mean, that's actually telling, because Amorim is envisioning a dynamic vertical attack, pacing behind, Bruno pulling the strings, and with time and space, basically looking at the potential of, because he talked about the potential of them playing as Brian Bumo and Mateusz Cunha playing as strikers. They can play in that position, and we've seen different formations with Brian Bumo and Mateusz Cunha playing up top and Bruno right behind them and all of that as wide forwards, so you never can tell. And he says that he's just basically envisioning a dynamic attack. And it's not about Bruno adapting to a new role, it's about the system giving Bruno what he needs to thrive. And it confirms something important. Bruno remains the creative engine of Amorim's United, right? So we expect that Bruno will have more assists in this United team and all of that. And then I think on the last note, before we talk about what Mateusz Cunha said, is with regards to the question around Kobbie Mainoo. He said, basically, just kind of in summary of that that comment, Kobbie Mainoo is a talent, but not untouchable, right? He says, I think he can play in both positions, because he was asked questions about where Kobbie Mainoo will play now with Mateusz Cunha and Brian Bumo playing now, and he coming now. He said something about them being signed to play up front, right? But then as they've come now, Kobbie Mainoo had played up front last year for the most part, like ahead forward last year, not in deep line play midfield. But he talked about a fact where Kobbie Mainoo is now being worked with for his, rapidness, for his ability to play and all of that. And he showed a little bit of it against Leeds in the first preseason game that happened at Stockholm. Now, he said, these were Amorim's words, I think he can play in both positions in the midfield. Last year, he played more in front. I think his perfect position is more near the ball, right? Always with the ball. So more like a deep line playmaker as well. I think he's a big talent, and you guys know that better than me, that he is a big talent. I think he needs to increase the rhythm. So rhythm, the pace also, which he's working with. He says, I'm always on top of that with Kobbie because he's so good sometimes, but he can be better. So I have big plans. But like I said, it's one game per week with competition. With the competition, it's going to be huge. Everybody has to be prepared to play one game or play all the games. That is the key point in our season. So Rúben Amorim is not just basically, talking, and he has envisioned a plan for Kobbie Mainoo as well. He said, I think his perfect position is more near the ball, always with the ball, so more like a ball in deep line playmaker. And Amorim says if there was ever one player close to the game's rhythm, dictating the tempo, sharp in transitions, these are the things that Rúben Amorim is thinking about for Kobbie Mainoo. More like the Bruno-esque kind of role where he is in control of things and stuff. He also talked about, he didn't stop there. He says he's working with Kobbie Mainoo on it, as I just read to you now. This is elite management, basically. Amorim is a Mainoo fan favorite. I mean, Amorim is a Mainoo fan. He loves Mainoo. Mainoo is also a fan favorite and a genuine talent, obviously. But Amorim is not about to pamper him. He's pushing him more, demanding more improvement. He says everybody has to be prepared. As I said, he's building a squad, not a starting 11. And Kobbie Mainoo, like everyone else, will earn his place week by week. So it is a very assertive and very measured way of giving an analysis of a player that you like or that you want in your squad to work. It's not just about the new season, it's a new standard at Manchester United. And that's what we learned from this. It's not just about the new season, it's about the new standard. From fitness to mentality, we could have seen videos online where he upped the ante with regards to, the fitness yesterday, and today he's kind of like slowing things down in the States and all of that, doing light training and all. But basically, that's the standard. And obviously, all the other staff were at that training session as well. From tactics to transfers, Rúben Amorim has drawn a red line, basically, a new red line, noting that nothing is handed out. Basically, everything has to be earned, and there will be competition, there will be change, but above all, there will be no excuses, according to how Rúben Amorim put it forward. So, United fans, the Amorim era has officially begun. Last year, it was assumed that we were in the Amorim era, but now the Amorim era has officially begun with a proper preseason. So let's know your thoughts and feelings in the comments. What do you think, will rise? What do you think will happen under Rúben Amorim? Who do you think will rise under Rúben Amorim's leadership? Before we round this all up, basically, Matheus Cunha spoke. Mainly, the questions they were asking him about, were in regards to basically, why did he choose to sign for Man United? And he says, his childhood dream. The next question that was asked to him afterwards was like, what made you choose United? He said, I think this is a rhetorical question, but it's been my childhood dream to be a Man United player. So it is what it is. He says what he will try to do is try to score goals because that's what is needed. That's why he was signed. We try to score goals. He will do his best to create assists as well, but that he's not worried about the pressure of playing for Manchester United. So it is what it is. We gotta, support the player, back him, and hope that something will happen, because obviously he was asked about strikers and he says, if it goes into the season, this was to Amorim, with these players, he's okay, but he knows that Jason Wilcox and Omar Brada are working, to ensure that things are sorted, especially in not in his words, but to ensure that strikers are signed. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section about everything that Rúben Amorim said. We're going to kind of give you updates as we go, and then you're going to also see short clips of the press conference. Let me know in the comment section what you think, and then we can build from there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, because we're already about to hit another milestone. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.